Justice Farrick.
This story is written by Justice Farrick. Books available on Moboreader, Libri, History, Amazon Kindle and all other online publishing platforms.
Episode 1. Jake's POV. Kristen? Yes, sir. Kristen's voice came through on my intercom. Get me, Matsuo Hattori, on the line. Right away, sir, she replied. A few minutes later, I saw a green light flash on my office phone, and I pressed the little button next to it. Matsuo. Hello, Mr. Middleton. Matsuo replied immediately, in his thick Japanese accent. It's very nice to hear from you. I wanted to discuss a new contract with you, I said. Hopefully, you can pass this conversation along to your boss. I think it will be mutually beneficial. We are talking with other contractors. At the moment, Mr. Middleton, he replied, sounding reluctant. That's because you haven't heard our new rates, I told him, spinning my tone into one I hoped was appealing. Trust me, Mr. Hatanaka is going to be interested in hearing about this. We'll see what I can do, Natsuo said, at last. May I make a suggestion? Of course. Convince Mr. Hatanaka to attend the meeting that's taking place in 5 days at my corporate office. I said, it shouldn't be too difficult, considering you are both in California at the moment. Natsuo paused for a moment. How did you know that? I make it my business to know these things, I replied. He laughed lightly. Mr. Hatanaka worked with your company almost a year ago now, he said. He was not so happy with the job that was carried out, but I think, with you, it might be different. Thank you, Natsuo, I smiled. Coming from you, that's high praise. I shall tell Mr. Hatanaka all about you, the major CEO. Is that what they call me? It is unusual, Natsuo pointed out, for a CEO of a major maritime shipping company to have served in the army. It's my discipline that's helped me climb so far, so fast, I said, still trying to market myself to land this contract. Be sure to explain to Mr. Hatanaka that he worked with this company before I was at the helm of it. That was the only reason he was unhappy with the partnership. It's going to be different this time. I shall tell him. And the meeting? I will confirm with your receptionist in 2 days. Excellent. I nodded. Thank you, Natsuo. Of course, Mr. Middleton, he said. And if all goes well, it will be a pleasure to meet you. Finally, after so many phone conversations. Well then, we'll have to make sure all goes well, won't we? He laughed, sensing my hint. I shall do my best, he said. Good day to you, Mr. Middleton. I hung up and leaned back in my swivel chair. It had been a long day, and my back was aching, but I still had a meeting to attend across town, and it would take me at least a half hour to get there. I poured myself a glass of water and sipped it slowly. As I checked the time, it was already 6 o'clock, and the sun was sending violent rays of orange and red streaking across the sky. Some days, the view was my only solace. I was just about to get out of my seat when I heard a knock at the door. Come in, I called, wondering if I should change my shirt. Before I headed to the meeting, Kristen entered with an apologetic look on her face. When I had first hired the girl 3 months ago, she had struck me as too timid for the job. I had expected her to quit after the first week, but oddly enough, she had managed to fit in well. She was well organized, efficient, and quick on her feet. She handled my brusque moods and complicated instructions without complaint and never forced me to repeat myself. She had been my third receptionist in 2 months, and I was thankful that she had stayed, if for no other reason than to spare me the irritation of interviewing yet another candidate for the job. My friends and colleagues, however, assumed I was happy for another reason. But as I had assured them all repeatedly, Kristen's looks had nothing to do with it. Yes, she was tall, slim, and pretty, but there was also something about her that unsettled me. I could never quite put my finger on it. Her long hair was a rich summery auburn that brought out the gold in her hazel brown eyes. Her smile was almost shy when it appeared at all, and I had noticed a few weeks ago that she had a dimple on her right cheek, but not on her left. They were odd observations, and I didn't trouble myself to analyze them too deeply. I just needed her to get the work done and get it done well. Still, now and again I found myself wondering what exactly it was that I found so unsettling about Kristen. It nagged at the back of my mind, but I never allowed myself enough time to dwell on it long enough to figure out what it was. "I'm sorry to disturb you, sir," she said. She was wearing a dark pencil skirt, a white-collared shirt with roll-up arm cuffs, and black heels that were exceptionally sensible. She had tied up her hair into a knot at the back of her head so I could see the heart shape of her face. Again, I felt that familiar little nagging that told me I was missing something obvious, but I pushed it aside and gestured for her to come in. "You're not disturbing me," I said. "I just finished my call." "What's the problem?" Your babysitter is on line 2, she told me. "She asked to speak to you." Slightly annoyed, I nodded. "Thank you, Kristen," I said. "I'll speak to her now." Kristen backed out of the office immediately and closed the door behind her. I picked up the phone and accepted the call on line 2. "Janet?" "Hi, Mr. Middleton." Janet's nasal voice spoke from the other line. "I was just calling to ask if you were on your way." I frowned. "On my way where?" "Home, of course." I checked my watch again. "It's 6 o'clock. 6:20 now actually," she replied. "I won't be home for another couple of hours, Janet," I said.